for the big guns. I had to go for the, you know, famous people that's really big in sales and business and stuff, right? So I met this guy, right? His name is Kendall. And I met him at my big brother's flipology class. And he started talking. And I was like, wait a minute. He sounds like he know what he's talking about. And he got receipts. And I had to, you know me, I have to do Google search. You know, I Google me, boo. I have to do Google search. And I got to do social media search. And I followed him. And then, you know, I was like, okay, I kind of like his style. So I had to get some connections. And y'all know about me and my virtual Rolodex. I've been going through my virtual Rolodex because I need to bring quality people out here to be able to impart wisdom to you so we can hashtag keep dualpreneurs in business. And Kendall said yes. Kendall, thank you so much for saying yes and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for
your knowledge.
Yeah.
I so appreciate.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, when we connected, you know, that's had to be over a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. I was impressed by, you know, your presentation. It wasn't a presentation, you just did a conversation, you did a talk. And it was just so empowering and gave a lot of information of what we can do to be successful. And so I appreciate you doing the same thing, you know, on the strength of my big brother, Ramon Took. Shout out to Ramon Tooks on there as
that's
well.
My guy. Yep. Yep.
That's my big brother. So we want to get right into it. Kendall, tell us a little bit about you. And, you know, we're trying to build these programs. So how can we build programs that serve, but also convert into sales too?
So just a little bit about me first. I think I was born to do exactly what I'm doing. I remember in high school, I never worked a legitimate job. I'm saying it like that. So I never was at the McDonald's, the Burger King. I used to sell loose joints. That's some of y'all don't know what that is. That's before there was blunts. They were with the Easy Wider. Some of my more mature people here know what I'm talking about. And so I used to sell those at school, and I never had that job. There was always something. I was either selling socks, selling books, selling those things. And then around I graduated high school in 86. And then around 1988, I started selling cell phones when they first came out. And I'll never forget, I had a 1987 Dodge Colt. It was blue. My sister took me down there to get it. She had the co-sign for me. So in her mind, it was her car. And I had a $206 car note. And I remember my sister saying to me, how you gonna pay for this car? You ain't got no job. I said, I'm good, don't worry about it. And so I got the car. It had no air conditioning. There was no air conditioning. So it was a 1987 Dodge Colt. I don't even think they make them anymore. And I got it with no air conditioning because it kept the price down. And so I got the car, and the first thing I did was put some tinted windows on it. I got this booming sound system. This is back when Run DMC was kicking it. And I put some 5-star rims on it. And I started my next hustle, which was selling cell phones. And I literally remember getting in contact with Bell Atlantic at that time. Some of y'all from up top know what I'm talking about. Bell Atlantic, I don't know how I got the resale wholesale account, but I was able to take paper applications. I would drive around, meet people on the street, ask them if they wanted to get a cell phone. They would fill out the paperwork, and I would call up the account rep, give them the information, and they would approve or deny. And if they approved it, I would program the phone right there. And in my car, I had a cell phone, a 1987 Dodge Colt with 5-star rims, tinted windows, a mobile car phone, and no air conditioning. And I loved, even back then, it didn't matter. I just loved that, what I'll call that hustle, that trying to make things happen on my own. I had to get a job because things were getting slow. So I went down to UPS and I worked at UPS. I figured that's 4 hours a night. I could still do that and still do my little hustle. That lasted for about 3 or 4 days. That's a whole different kind of work in UPS. That's a whole different kind of thing going on. And so I left there and just started selling cell phones again. Then I went and got a beeper business. Now, when I say business, I'm not talking about a brick and mortar. I'm not talking about a store. I'm talking about selling pagers hand to hand. I went to PageNet and I got the wholesale account and people would pay me $4.95 to do their cell phones, to do their pages. My sister called me one day and she said, AT&T is hiring. Me and mama need you to take your behind down there and go get a job. Now, Tara, my mama made me take typing in 10th grade. She made me take it, right? I didn't want to take it. I thought that was a little soft. I don't want to do it. I fought tooth and nail, but I had to take it. Ended up, I was able to type 35 or more words a minute after it was all said and done. So when my sister called, she said, you need to go down to AT&T. They're having a job fair and they're hiring people on the spot. Now, she worked at AT&T. So they like, good job, benefits, it's AT&T, right? So I went down there all day. My sister and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. She told me I put on a white suit. I don't remember that. But she said I put on a white suit, but I don't remember that. But I went there all day, and I remember it was the last phase of it. And the young lady said, well, we have you slated to work in the message center. That's working on the phones, but you have to pass this typing test. Now, I don't really want the job anyway. So I'm saying to myself, okay, let me just take the typing test, let them tell me no, because I got to be able to tell my mother and my sister I came down here, they just didn't hire me. And so I took the typing test. I was just doing my thing. I didn't know if I was doing well or not. Took the test, came back. She said, oh my goodness, you did 35 words a minute. You got the job. You start in 2 days. I was like, what? I ain't want the job. Now, let me tell you how bad it was, y'all. I was supposed to start work. It was a Monday. I think it was President's Day. That night before, I was out. Me and my guy was out. I think we was at Bentley's in New York. We were out, and all I remember is Monday morning, the phone ringing, and I look over at the clock and was like, I was out of it, and it was my new supervisor. And he said, yeah, Kendall Ficklin, please. And I said, yeah, this is him. He said, yeah, this is Ralph Miola, your supervisor at AT&T. I was like, ooh. He said, you know, you're supposed to be at work. I was like, ooh. And then I just went into apology mode. A part of me was saying, please fire me, please fire me. And he said, man, don't worry about it. Come in tomorrow, all good. And I want to tell you something. That was the best experience of my life. I did 10 years at AT&T. And it was the best experience of my life. And I'm going to tell you why, Tara, because I learned how to be professional and polished. I came in as a young man. I'm talking about early 20s, young. I might have been 20, maybe still 19. Early 20s, young man. And these guys who were husbands, who were fathers, who were veterans in corporate security had taken me under their wing and groomed me into a polished manager in corporate security. And I worked my way up in the ranks. I still had the hustle in me. So I would go to New York and get bags and go in my cubicle and sell those, you know, those Coach bags, you know, the ones, y'all know, the Coach bags. I would sell those bags. I would sell books. I would go to the black bookstores and I would get the books at 40% off and I would sell them in there. I got the sweatsuits from off of Canal Street. I'm talking about, I was killing this stuff hanging up in my cube like it was a store. I'm talking about, I'm killing the game. I wouldn't even catch. I was doing it in the back of my mind. I was like, I hope they fire me for doing this, but they just wouldn't fire me. You know, AT&T was going through all these things and they were cutting people and laying people off. I kept saying, man, I hope they offer me one of these packages. No package ever came. Let me tell you how sweet the job was. My manager was in another state. It was literally just me and him. I really didn't have any work to do, none. So I'm just selling stuff in my cube. And I finally went and got my first real business. It was a janitorial, commercial cleaning franchise, coverall. Got my first one. And that was what changed the game, right? I was so great. Within 90 days, I was doing 6 figures. I had all the Starbucks in New York and New Jersey. I had 8 or 9 sports authorities, 2 big office buildings. I knew how to get business. I knew how to cuss out my crew and get them to move. I knew how to get the trucks and everything. But Tara, you know what I didn't know how to do? I didn't know how to manage money. I knew how to make it, but I didn't know what to do with it. I could talk myself into stuff, but I couldn't talk myself out of it. It used to get so bad. I remember I used to have like a $17,000 or $20,000 monthly payroll. And on several occasions, I had to call my sister and say, hey, I need to borrow some money for payroll. It was so bad, I couldn't even live. Like I wasn't making enough money to live. I had to go and get side hustles, cleaning barbershops, the floors, and making an extra couple of thousand extra just doing that. And that was when everything changed. That was when, during that time, I was like, well, I'm doing 6 figures in 90 days. I'm going to quit AT&T. And I always tell people that was the best, worst decision I ever made. When I was thinking about it, I was like, it was free money. At that time, I was making $60,000 a year, which in the 90s was great. Young, $60,000 a year, all the benefits, 401k, and no manager. I ain't have no work to do. But I said, no. I said, I'm gonna go ahead. And I did one of those. I took a 30-day leave of absence. And then I eventually just left. When I got to Starbucks, I left, right? And that was the best decision I ever made, because I had to learn some things. I really learned what it was like to turn nothing into something every day. And what that does is, for me, as entrepreneurs come to me and they want me to coach them, a lot of us still have jobs. A lot of them still have jobs. And they say, Coach, man, I want to leave my job and do this full time. And I always say, don't you quit your job. Let your job quit you. Because the lesson I learned was, I didn't let them quit me. I quit them. And what I should have done was max out in my side business to where I was generating more revenue in my side business, and I didn't have the time, and I was doing it over a period of time. So my job could say, you ain't got time for us. And so I tell people who have full-time jobs right now, don't get caught up in what this entrepreneurial life looks like or what people are showing you on social media. You got to wake up every day and turn nothing into something. And I've been full-time business owner, entrepreneur for over 25 years. And I wake up every day. I was telling Tara earlier, I wish somebody would offer me $300,000 a year after taxes and all my benefits and everything. Please, I'll be right up in it. But here's the thing, and the lesson for everybody to learn. There are certain things in life that you have to grow through in order to get the experiences so you can get to. I'm gonna say that again. There are certain things that you have to grow through to get the experience and the experiences so you can go to. It was because of all of the losses. It was because all of the trials and all of the errors that I made that I have been able to build and grow a multiple 6-figure business that is successful. And so somebody asked me the other day, they said, Coach, how did you get to where you are? And I always say one thing, I stopped drinking. No, Coach, how did you get to making the money? I stopped drinking. See, a lot of people think you get success in business when you generate revenue. You get success in business when you get disciplined and you can keep more than you make. And you can't manage your life or your business if your mind is always medicated. And so I had to create the discipline. So when I stopped drinking, I started seeing things a lot more clearly. So I started cutting hair when I came down here to Atlanta. And as I was cutting hair, I was learning, Tara, and I was growing and I was learning. And I thought I used to love cutting hair. I promise you, I used to be like, I can't wait to get to the shopping mall and try this new blade I just got. I thought I loved cutting hair until one day I had an executive come in. He's one of my best clients and a good friend of mine today. And we had a conversation. He was going through something with his wife. And I gave him some coaching advice. Because, you know, as a barber, we the therapist, the doctor, the pediatrician, everything. We the accountant, everything. And I gave him some advice. And he was like, man, that was the greatest advice. He went to work and told his boys in that C-suite what a good barber I was. But even more than that, I was a great confidant. So my chair was filled with very well-known, influential businessmen. My chair was filled with high-level pastors. My chair was filled with people who had secrets, and I was able to give great advice and keep the secrets. So now I thought I loved cutting hair, but what it was, I loved the platform that it gave me to do what I really was born to do. And that was to coach. That was to project. I could stand in the shop from can't see morning to can't see night and keep it moving, keep the conversations going. And I could talk to people into stuff and out of stuff. And I was coaching people through divorce, through marriage, through the side piece, through the kid drama. And we were working with each other in all these different things. And it's amazing because what I learned during those nearly little over 20 years of cutting was I never called myself a barber, ever. I never had a license to cut hair. I just started telling that part of the story. In that 20-some years, I ain't never had a license to cut hair. I remember one time I went down to the school, was about to sign the paperwork, Tara, and I said to myself, I ain't gonna do this because I'm not gonna be cutting hair long. The last barbershop I owned, I came to my wife and I said, I'm gonna do this one different. The fourth shop, I'm gonna do this one different. I'm gonna be in the shop every day. She said, no, you're not, because you really don't want to do it. And I'm saying that to say to y'all, like, there are things that I've lived in my life that made me the man that I am today and helped me to build the programs that I have built. Because had I not gone through the stuff in high school, the stuff during my years at AT&T, the divorces, being a young father, the doing the hustling, had I not grown through all of that, I wouldn't know how to run my own programs, my own business now, and build sustainable programs that don't sell but serve. Because I learned from behind that chair who I was. And so I want y'all to write this down, because Tara asked me to talk to you about how to build programs that serve. And I've built a whole lot of them. So when I started in this phase of my career, the coaching and the speaking, my first program was called Grindation. What was that, Kendall? That was a group coaching program. Well, Kendall, how did you build that? How did that start? And you know, it's always somebody doing the interview and they want to hear what the grand story was. I'm gonna tell you how it started. Somebody called me up and they hit me up on Facebook and they said they wanted to talk to me about coaching them because they were a speaker. And I got on the phone with them. I was telling them what the program was. I was gonna do this, and that, and it was gonna cost you $199 a month. And he said, that's it? Does anything else come with it? And I said, no, you get access to my group coaching program called Grindation. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I saw it come out of my mouth, Tara, but I couldn't pull it back because Grindation didn't exist. A couple of months before that, I was speaking to a group of kids and I just happened to say Grindation. And it came out and I was like, what that mean? In my head, I said, oh, that's the foundation of your grind. And it sounded sweet. So I rolled with it. So when I was on the phone with that young man, I said, no, you're going to get all that one-on-one coaching and you're going to get access to my program called Grindation. We do a weekly Sunday call, then we do a Wednesday call, and you get access to the group. He was like, man, that sounds great. And I got off the phone, was like, ooh. Then somebody else hit me up. Got on the phone with him, same night. Told him the same thing. My wife was listening to me. She said, what kind of program you got? I ain't got no program. And somebody asked me last week, they were like, Coach, so I'm building out my program, but I don't want to put nobody in. I don't want to start the calls until I get a group. So that first program I built, I had my first call. And guess who was on that call? My first 3 clients. I told my wife to jump on that call. All my kids had to get on that call. My coach got on that call. I was just randomly picking people. The homeless people on the corner, log into the call. I just wanted people on the call. And so when people say, how do you build the program? Sometimes we make it so deep. It ain't that deep. Sometimes you have to just walk in faith. And so I led the call. And I remember telling CJ, my coach, I said, C, can you do the first call for me? He said, no. I was like, bruh. He said, no, you got to do the call. I had never done a call. I was shaking in my boots. I still got the recording, shaking in my boots. I'm talking about, I listened to the recording one day, Yana, and I was like, ooh, I sound like a new fool. I was saying stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. That was when I was just a yeller. I was just yelling. I didn't know what I was talking about. But everybody loved it. And I did it every week. And the more I did it, the more it built. And so the first thing I'm going to tell you that you need to do in order to start your own program, the first thing is you need to have courage. Write that down. You got to have courage, right? So I had the courage to say it. And as the words went out, I couldn't take them back. And I said, I'm going to have to walk in it. And look, the second thing that you have to do is be consistent. I did that weekly call and I did the coaching from 2016 to what month is it right now? April. What was last Sunday's date? Somebody tell me. Whatever last Sunday's date was. So I did it from January 2016 to last Sunday. Consistent. Same call, same program, consistently for 4 or 5 years. Now, other programs have come from that. And so when people say, well, Coach, how do you build the program? You build the program brick by brick. Now, here's some of the little pieces and nuances I've learned along the way, right? So the first thing you have to do is really figure out who you are. Because one of the things I learned when I was cutting hair was your clients are going to be a reflection of who you are. The people that join your groups or your coaching clients are going to be a reflection in some way, shape, form, or fashion of who you are, because those energies connect. So I found out who I am. I know who I am. I'm an in-your-face type of coach. I'm not for everybody. Some people can't take it. Some people a little soft and shy. One of my clients had one of his assistants or partners call me the other day. I got on the phone with him. He said, well, coach, I need to know how I can support him. I'm like, what you mean support him? I don't know how you can support him. I said, are you his assistant? He was like, no, we're partners. I said, look, man, y'all need to have a conversation to figure out who you are to each other and then come back to me. My guy told me today that I offended this guy. I was like, oh, well, I'm trying to help him. I'm not for everybody, so I know who I am. The second thing you need to figure out is, what do you do? Remember I told you all those years I was cutting hair? I never called myself a barber. I said, I just cut hair. I know what I do. I'm a coach. I started off talking about I'm a speaker. I remember going to CJ one day, Tara, and this was a few years ago when it used to take me 4 days to write a 30-minute speech. I promise you, I'm writing out the pauses, the humor lines, the whole thing. I went to see and said, bro, I don't want to do this no more. I'm good on the speaking. I just want to be a coach. He said, all right, you can coach. I'm going to make you a great coach. I said, bet. What's the first thing you want me to do? He said, go speak. I was like, what? He said, people are not going to come to you because you're a coach. They're going to come coach with you because they heard you speak. So in knowing who I am, I know that I'm good at presenting to small and large groups. I got a lot of energy. So I said, I'm going to speak about what I know. So because I know who I am, then I figured out what I do. I'm a coach. So I stopped trying to be everything else. So as you start to think about this program that you want to put together, you got to ask yourself, who am I? And what exactly do I do? Not what did I see Tara doing? Not what did I see Eric doing? Not what did I see Jacqueline doing? But what do I do? How do you find out what you do? By going out and doing. I wouldn't have known I was a coach unless I was doing some coaching. Somebody asked me last week, Tara, they was like, Coach, did you always know you were a speaker or a coach? I knew it from the time I was a little boy. My daddy used to have those Saturday night alcohol binges. But every Sunday morning, he was in the kitchen cooking breakfast. And you could smell the breakfast I'm talking about, and it wasn't, he was just eggs, bacon, potatoes, not the O'Brien, not the frozen joints. He used, you know what I'm saying? He used to cut the potatoes up, cut the onions up and the pepper, and you could smell it. I would be in the living room back in those days on channel 40 to 47. The preachers used to come on TV. And I would watch. I remember one day I was watching Farrakhan on TV. Reverend Price was on TV. And my dad came in and turned the channel. I was like, no, what you doing? What you doing? I'm watching that. I didn't know what they were saying, but I was connected to what they were doing. My mother used to take me to church, and I'd be like, I don't want to go to children's church. I want to go sit on the front row. And I would sit in the front row and just look at the preacher. I didn't know what he was talking about, but I was connected to that. In your entire life, you have heard what you were supposed to be doing. You have felt it. You have done it. Somebody has told you. Like, it's in you already. But life happened. You felt like you had to go get a job, and nothing wrong with that. You felt like you had to take a risk on a business, and nothing is wrong with that. But you got caught up in the platform and forgot about the gift that you were supposed to be expressing on the platform. And that's where I got lost. But I figured out what I did. And so when I figured out what I did, now when the next program came, it came from the one program, but I grew the one program up, and in finding out who I was and what I did, I was able to scale out and start the next program, which was GSpeaks. That was where I trained speakers, just how to develop their message, just how to tell stories. And then that one came, then I did G-Men. That was where I work with men. So we got different people in GSpeaks, different people in G-Men, still got grindation going. So I grew up and then I scaled out. Who are you? What do you do? Now here's the next one. What experience do you have doing it? Coach, how do I get experience? Your experiences give you experience. You got to go out and do it. Well, Coach, how did you get experience to do GSpeaks and do G-Men? When we were in the barbershop, we used to have men exchange. I worked with men. When I was doing grindation, I was speaking on the calls that I was scared to speak on. I was training speakers. See, I went out there and I did something, And I learned how to do it. And then when I was doing it, guess what came? Help. People ask me all the time, Terry, they say, how you build a team? People see me working and they want to be a part of the work. I just told the story and I'm almost done. I just told the story. And I said, picture, there was a man, he was driving the car on the highway. Car just stopped. He went up, pulled over to the side real slow. And he sat there for a minute trying to figure out what may be wrong with his car. And as he sat there, cars were just riding by. And nobody stopped to help him. He just sitting in the car. So he said, let me go look up under the hood. So he pulled the hood up and he looked under the hood. And he didn't know what was going on. Cars still going by. All he got is the hood up. It's just cars going by. Then he said, you know what? Let me try and push the car up to the end and get it up off the highway. Maybe I can get it in the thing. So he left from behind the hood, opened the door, got behind the wheel and started pushing the car while the door was open. And as soon as he did that, a truck came behind him. And the man said, hey man, I see you doing something. Look like you pushing your car. Do you need some help? I can put the truck behind it and push the car while you steering it. And so he said, yeah, thank you. And then another car came by and another car. It was like 5 or 6 people helping him push the car. Coach, why did they help him? Because they saw him doing something. You don't need help if you ain't doing nothing. You can do nothing all by yourself. So people are attracted to what I'm doing because I'm doing. So coach, how do I build that program? You got to know who you are. You got to know what you do. You got to know what experience you have doing it. And then you got to figure out who you do it for. See, a lot of us, we want to do things that you ain't got no experience in. I was coaching somebody one day, Tara, and I said, well, tell me what it is you want to do. He said, I want to be a business coach. I was like, bet, that's what I do. Said, so what experience do you have doing that? Oh, none. I was reading these books. How you gonna tell? Hold on, wait a minute. Now, I'm all for the side hustle, right? I'm all for on-the-job training. But you can't tell me how to do business and you ain't never did it. A book, watch this. You can read a book on how to play golf, can't you? But you're not gonna know how to play it until you play it. There's certain nuances. And so some of y'all trying to do programs because it sounds sweet, or you saw Sister Tree doing something and she started something and it looked good. She was selling the tea down there and her Instagram lit. She all over the country and you want to go sell that tea where everybody gets slim. But you a horrible salesperson. What's your gift? See, I knew my gift because I was doing it while I was cutting hair. I was doing it at AT&T when I was selling everything in there. I knew I was a phenomenal communicator. I knew I had the energy. I knew I was a coach. I'm doing what I was supposed to be doing my entire life. Yeah, but coach, you found that out. Exactly. I found that out because I allowed my experiences to give me experience. My question to you is, what are your experiences? What is that thing that's inside you that you know you're supposed to be doing? Then you do that. Okay, so watch. Who are you? What do you do? What experience do you have doing it? Now watch this. Who do you do it for? What you mean, who do I do it for? Who is that ideal person that you want to work with? What problem do they have that you can solve? Well, coach, man, I want to work with kids. I want to work with student athletes. Have you ever played sports? But I always had this passion to do it. Well, they're not your ideal client because you ain't got no experience working with them. Tara, let me tell you something I learned early on. I started my speaking career off talking to kindergartners, elementary, middle school, high school. Then I went into the colleges, right? I learned, Jacqueline, I learned. I ain't got no business talking to kids. I ain't got no business. Like I can't. See, I learned that. You wanna know how I learned it? Because I be wanting to cuss them out. I be wanting to fight. Like I ain't got no patience for that. I'm going in when my man come in the way and I'm stepping to him. Like I'm ready to fight. I ain't got no patience. And so I've learned from experience. I ain't got no business doing that. Coach, how do you know? Because I was in AT&T selling stuff. I was behind the barber's chair doing stuff. I actually went out there and I learned from doing. All right, who are you? What do you do? What experience do you have doing it? Now, coach, I think I got an idea of who I do it for. Good. Now, where are they located? Online and offline. When you know where they're located, how's that gonna help me, coach? Because now you know where to go to do these 4 S's: to show, share, serve, and solve for them. So watch this. If I'm working with Eric, right? Eric is a young man and he's looking for a coach. I know Eric looks like somebody that might be my ideal client based on what he wants to do. He wants to get his business going. So I know Eric, my ideal client, is on Instagram, right? So I'm on Instagram. Watch this, Jacqueline. I'm showing, I'm sharing, I'm serving, and I'm solving content. I'm putting content out there, and Eric is like, ooh, that look like that's gonna be my coach. I get on the phone with Eric. Eric is like, Coach, can you help me? I absolutely can. What can you help me do? I can help you do boom, 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 boom. You wanna know why I know I can help you, Eric? Why? Because I got experience. Okay, Coach, so you gave us that. Now, how do we charge though, Coach? Because I think I can do a program for 20,000. You probably could. I don't know if anybody will come in it though. See, that's where you have to say, I'm going to charge based on the degree of the problem that I'm solving. And so when you say to me, how do you create a program that serves, you have to know what experience you bring to the table and what problem can you solve before you can even serve. Does that make sense? So don't look, before you even think about the program, there's some preliminary work that you need to do. And once you go through the preliminary work, then you start writing down the areas where you have experience and there are problems in the marketplace for you to solve. If you've been working in corporate for 20 years, you got some experiences. Why are you trying to go out there and work in the shelter with people? You got experience that you can help corporate women with, and you can help them change the game. And you build that business so you can generate that money. And then you go do what your passion wants you to do. What's the definition of business, Tara? Somebody help me out. What's the definition? The definition of business is the exchange of goods and services for commerce. What that mean? I'm going to give you something, you will give me back money. So now watch this. A program is a product. So if I'm going to offer you a product, it needs to solve a problem. And based on what the degree of the problem I'll solve, if it's going to help you generate revenue, as if I'm a business coach, if it's going to change your marriage, if it's going to help you get your finances in order, so instead of owing the government $13,000, they're going to give you $13,000. What are you willing to pay for that? And watch this, Jacqueline. Now when I talk to people, I'm like, yo, I got 30 years experience of turning nothing into something. See, you talk a little different because it's not that you're arrogant, but it's that you done lived a certain life. I told Tara before we got on this call, I said, my mama taught me a very valuable lesson. We were sitting on the porch one day, my mama 80 years old. And I went and got the coffee and the newspaper. And you know, she 80, so she was reading the obituaries. And one of her friends died. And she was talking bad about the friend's sister. I said, Ma, you can't talk bad about her like that. She said, I'm 80 years old. I can do any damn thing I want. When you done lived a life and you got experience, you know, like when your kids come to you and talk to you like they ain't got good sense. And you done lived this life. And you bust them upside the head because you lived this life. You know, when you can grab your slipper from the floor and just boom and pop them upside the head. And they say, how'd she do that? She done lived this life. And so when you build in your programs, you build it with the confidence that you got the experience because you done lived it. And so you build something to serve based on the experiences that you have in your life. Last point. So now once you know who you are, what you do, what experience you have doing it, who you do it for, where they're located online, offline, how you're showing, sharing, serving, and solving for them, then you have to say to yourself, how am I bringing them into my relationship headquarters? And in the relationship headquarters, that's the RHQ. That's where all the goodness happens. That's where you connect, cultivate, communicate, and convert. That's where lives are changed in the RHQ. That's where the magic happens. You know what else happens in the RHQ? That's where they say, I am going to invest in your service, in your program, because you have proven to me that you have something that can solve my problem. And it don't matter how much it costs, because I am going to pay to get this problem solved. And that happens in the RHQ. And I'm not telling you what I read. That's the life I live. I wake up every day and I just bring people into the RHQ. And what do I do in the RHQ? I serve. I serve. Well, coach, all right, coach, I hear you. All that sound good. But you know what? I don't want to come off salesy. Like, I don't want to, and you're not supposed to. I have a clear model. Y'all ready? Write this down. It's probably gonna be the most profound thing I say all evening. And this is my last point. Write this, I'm talking about this fire. Write this down. Y'all ready? The first thing that you must do is give. Write that down. Give. All right. I'm this deep. This deep. The second thing that you do, give. Give. Yep, that's the second thing. Give. Right? Give. All right, this is the last one. Two more. The third thing that you do, give. Give. And then the fourth thing is ask. Give 3 times more than you ask. Give 3 times more value than you ask for in return. Because watch, we're not selling. We serving. And when I serve, I don't have to sell. People want to do business with me because I have proven that I have valuable experience that can solve a problem for them. Your call, Tara.
That's absolutely fabulous. And it's funny because it ties into everything we've been talking about all week. And we've been talking about relationships and building relationships with our customers. And one of the part of building relationships is serving. You must serve first. And I tell this all the time, the law of prosperity, the first law of prosperity is to give, because you can't receive with a closed fist. And there's so many people that are asking, and they're so stingy, they won't give information. They won't share expertise because they were like, you got to pay me first. But then nobody wants to give them anything because they're stingy. But it's those people that outgive. They outgive. Those are the people like, well, how can I pay you? How much does it cost? I mean, I have people right now, they're like, well, what do I need to do to work with you? Well, how do you accept the payments? So, like, they're ready. You know what I'm saying? And it's a matter of, thank you for saying this. Thank you for saying build programs based on your experience, because there are a lot of people that want to build a program because it's popular. They want to solve a problem that they have no experience in solving. And so they're going to spend more time on the planning of it, that analysis paralysis, because they're trying to figure it out. But when you build something that you already know, that you have experience, that's nothing. I can literally go online and say, hey, I'm going to do this program. I'm taking 10 people. You only got to pay this. And I promise you, I ain't created the program yet. Promise you. I'll create the program when I get people that paid and invested, and I'll have a program by the time we go live.
The program already inside of you.
The program
ain't nothing to create.
Exactly.
You wanna know why? Because it came from your life experience.
And that's what makes it easy. It's not that, like you said, it's not that deep when you have the experience and the exposure. It's when you don't have the experience and you're trying to fake the funk and you're trying to make a lot of money because it's popular. That's when it's going to be very difficult. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. So if people want to work with you, learn more about the gradation and learn about your other programs or hire you as a coach, how can they get in contact with you?
You can go to Coach Kendall, Kendall, CoachKendall.com. Watch this. I know exactly who I am. CoachKendall.com.
And I know who I am. I'm Madam Money.
Madam Money. You said something. What was that you said when I met you that day when I spoke?
Talking about financial fornication, my book, Financial Fornication.
That was it.
Right?
That was I
and how we're financially promiscuous with our credit cards, and we end up with financial STDs, substantially tremendous debt.
I'm talking about that, and you know what happened when you get the STD?
Man, that stuff is painful like a mug, boy.
But Tara, you know, some people gonna act like they ain't been down that road.
Whatever.
You know, they gonna act like, oh, I ain't never. Stop playing.
They still having these financial one-night stands right now. They got that check. They got that $1,200. Yeah.
Oh, it's gone. Oh no, it's gone.
It's gone. It's gone. They done messed it up. But
you know what they did, Tara? Let me just say this. I gotta say this.
Oh,
they went and signed up for a program that lied to them and told them, I got a program that's gonna get you X amount of dollars in X amount of time.
Yep.
And let me say this to everybody that's listening, and don't ever do this. I don't do it, and I never want you to do it. You don't sell money.
Right.
You can't sell a result. Somebody asked me, they wanted to come into my $9,000 package, and dude was like, he said, so what is the return that I'm gonna get on this? I said, I ain't got no clue. My job is to give you the blueprint. My job is to give you the map. You gotta drive the car. So make sure as you put your programs together, you don't sell a result. The result, because you can't control that. What you can control is give them as much of your experience and the information as possible. Let them drive the car.
So Kendall, it's the same thing like a university. Yale didn't say if you go to Yale, you're going to make this amount of money. Your college didn't say if you spend this amount of money in your education that you're going to make this amount of money. They can't guarantee that. They can only guarantee that you're going to pay for the information, maybe some relationships, but it's what you do with it that will dictate how much you make. Because I can give one person $9,000 worth of information and resources, and another person the same thing. One person make $1 million, the other one, they broke.
Yep.
It just is what it is. So I appreciate you saying that. Don't sell that. Don't say, oh yeah, you can make $10,000 by paying for a $1,000 program. Don't lie to them, because somebody like me will take you to court.
Yeah, don't even talk to them. They're hustling you. Don't talk to them. And here's the other thing. I'm sorry, I'm about to go ahead. No, you go ahead, Tara.
No, go ahead.
I was about to go somewhere else. Here's how you know, right? So when I was in the shop, we used to be in the shop, and you know, in the salon and in the shop, you got dentists, doctors, lawyers, pediatricians, professional athletes in the shop, but they ain't never did none of it. But they telling you how to get your teeth fixed. They ain't never went to dental school. They telling you how to get your taxes done. They ain't never went to tax certifications. They got all of the answers for everything. And so it's the same thing out here in these internet streets. People will tell you that they can show you how to make money, but I promise you, ask them how they make their money. See, that's why you want to make sure that you have the proof, you have the experience. So when you live in your life of experience, when the people come to you to join your program, you should be able to sit like bold. I'm talking about with your legs crossed. I've been doing this for 30 years. I wake up every day and turn nothing into something. We did almost 7 figures last year. You want to see my books? Period. You either want this work or you don't. See, but what happens is when you don't have the experience, you start capitulating. You start because you hungry, but more importantly, you thirsty. And when you thirsty, you'll start charging, you'll start setting the prices of your program based on your need, not based on the business. And thirsty people, you're not gonna make it here. It'll look good. Don't get me wrong. True story. Young lady came, she was like real like sweet with that. She was like, I need coach, boom, 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 and I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what's your revenue looking like? She said, I did 40,000 last month. I was like, bet. What'd you do the month before that? About 5,000. What you scheduled to do this month? In other words, nowhere near the 40. It was a fluke month. People could come to you and say they had a great month. Can you do it every month? Month in and month out, day in and day out. And that's why you have to build your business. Your business, your program is like a baby. You birth it and then you feed it. You put blood, sweat, tears, money into it. And you get to the point where it can feed itself. Remember when your baby was able to feed us? I'm talking about hold your own body. And then once it can feed itself, you like, yeah, let's nap, that frees you up. But then you still got to nurture it. You still got to help it walk. And then prayerfully it'll get to the point where it can take care of you. Not like your kids, but the business.
Yeah. So
you feed it until it can feed itself. And then ultimately, if you trained it properly and you grew it properly, it'll feed you. If you didn't get with Tara and learn how to handle them finances, you might be feeding it for 20 years, like some of our kids are still at the crib. I'm sorry, that's another call. That's another call.
It's a whole nother show. Well, I thank you so much, Kendall. That's really awesome. And you know, the wisdom, I knew you come through with that. Good job. You know, that experience, you got good. Them gray hairs were worth it. No, I'm just
what you're not gonna do. Yeah, let me say this to you guys.
That's okay. I got my gray hairs too. I love my gray hairs. That tells me I've been through something and I know something. So
let me say this to you guys. Whether you're on this call or you out there on Facebook or you somewhere, anywhere on these social media streets, this young lady here, the resource, the information, the coaching that she provides, you don't know how valuable it is. Your business is 80-20. 80% of it is the business and the finances. 20% is about the program, the coaching, and the speaking. You need to get with her and get her in your corner to teach you what to do with the money that you're going to make. Otherwise, you won't stay in business long. There aren't many people that set calls up like this that bring people in. She called me and told me I'm doing this call and it's for the people. And I said, yes, ma'am, I'll be on there because I can feel her heart. She has a servant's heart. And you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't invest in her business, and also her experience.
Oh, you're gonna make me go and cry. And I didn't even pay you to say that.
Oh, don't worry about it. Give, ask.
Ask, the big ask. Thank you so much. I want to open it up now to everyone to ask a question. I know that we've been a little quiet now because we were taking in all of this information, but if you have a question that you want to ask Coach Kendall, please unmute your mic, show your beautiful face. We'd love to see you, and ask your question.
I have a question. I think I missed it. What did the RHQ stand for?
Relationship headquarters.
A relationship headquarters. So that's basically where you house your people and your community, basically, is what that means.
And not necessarily. So
okay.
In the relationship headquarters is where you connect, you cultivate, you communicate, and you convert. Some of them are clients, some of them are members, and some of them are prospects, and some of them are suspects.
Mm-hmm. and some of them, a lot of them are suspects.
Okay.
A lot of them are suspects. And then figuring out deciphering who is what, and being very cognizant of that.
I have a system that I use, and people go from suspect to prospect to client to promoter to advocate. A suspect is somebody that you suspect is interested in your service. A prospect is that individual that you actually get some time to tell about your service, and they're interested in you telling them how much it is, or you sending them a proposal. When you convert them from the prospect, then they become a client. Mm-hmm. And they go through the onboarding process. And this is the key part for your program. The onboarding process, that experience that you run your new client through or your new member through, is super important.
Yes.
Because you want them to become advocates. One of the things that most business owners do is, I believe in hunting and farming. And every day you should be hunting for new money and hunting for new suspects. Mm-hmm. But farming is when you take care of the current clients that you already have. And you can hunt with clients that you already have. That is asking for referrals.
Yes.
Now, if you serve them and you give them a phenomenal experience, you should not be afraid to ask, can you refer 5.7 people to me?
And some people will just automatically, like I have one client that says, hey, I'm referring 3 people to you. I didn't ask her for the referral. I just asked her for a testimony, you know, and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna send that to you, but I'm referring 3 people to you too.
It's the experience.
And so it is about how you farm and cultivate your existing clients while you're still hunting for food. You know, I do want to share this with you. When I got into the insurance business and I became an insurance agent, that was the first time that I learned how to hunt for food. I never had to hunt for food before, right? Because I always had a job that would bring me the food. I just had to cook it up, serve it, or whatever. So I always had someone that, you know, the job brought me the clientele, brought me the work or whatever. In the insurance business, I had to do everything. I had to go out and find the suspects and prospects, turn into clients. And when you're hunting for food, sometimes you get rejected. Sometimes you see it, you aim for it, you shoot, you miss. A lot of times you miss. But I realized that I was sheltered my entire life being an entrepreneur, because of being an employee, because I thought, oh, because I can do my job really well, I can do it better than my supervisor, I can run my own business. Until you realize that support system that was feeding you, that was doing the hunting, they were doing the marketing, they were doing the prospecting, they were doing everything, the accounting system, they were doing everything, and they gave you the food, and all you had to do is dice it up, cook it, and serve it. But when you have to do everything, it's a totally different thing. And so I say that to say is, while you are an entrepreneur, while you are an employee, this is the time to learn how to hunt for food while you're still getting food served to you. Because there's going to be some days when you don't get the food that you've been hunting for. So you have to have an outlet of where you can still eat while you're learning how to hunt.
Absolutely. That's good.
Awesome. Did somebody else have a question?
I don't necessarily have a question, and I won't go into. Kendall knows how I like to go into great detail. I won't do that. So, but I am a
I have
part
a
of
story
Kendall's.
for you about Ayana before we go too. But go ahead.
Wait, so listen, when you tell that story, he's going to be like, yep. So I'm a part of Grindation. Actually, that's how I met Tara, through G Women, and she came on a call through there. So that's how I was able to connect with this phenomenal woman. Snap, 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 snap. But what I can say is the 6 things that Kendall has walked us through on this call. Having gone, it'll be a year in June that I've been part of Grindation. But I got on a call with him, and I specifically told him, I am here to watch how you run your course, because I wanted to run my own course. And so while I was a part of his program, I was also like assessing how he ran it, because I knew at some point I was going to want to do it. And I'm telling you, and I said this to him, the way that you brought me into that program, I was like, them texts came in, I knew what Facebook group, I knew what time the call was going to be, like everything was just boom, 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 boom. And I was nurtured all the way in. And then all the calls came the way that they said, and the content was delivered the way that it said it would be, and all the things that I got from it. And I told him one of my fears is speaking, and I couldn't wrap my head around why I needed to speak in order to coach. And I got the answer through the program. I guess it's kind of like that testimony advocacy thing, but I just wanted to share that it works. And one thing he probably didn't know is I had like 5 gigs set up for this year, and then they all got canceled, including a TED Talk.
That's okay. It's going to be rescheduled, or a new opportunity is going to come. But the fact that you got them, that is all that matters, right? So,
but I wouldn't have done it had he not explained, had I not gone through Bosk and really kind of understood. I wouldn't have had the courage to go after it, believing in my own experience. So just that kind of, I guess, testimony.
So Kendall, let me tell you about Ayana. So Ayana's been my ride or die chick. She's been on probably 99% of all of these, and we've been doing this for going on 4 weeks now. This is like week 4, every call, right?
Good.
I want to know what she's cooking every night. They're jealous, right? So from the first time that she talked about her business and what she wanted to do, she was timid, shy, didn't really know, to you're going to see what she's going to do, because I'm going to open it up and she's going to tell you she is precision in who her target market is, what it is, and her confidence in speaking and asking questions. The transformation has been absolutely phenomenal. It's been absolutely phenomenal to watch her through that whole transition of being shy, not really knowing what she wants, to know this is who I am and this is what I want. And I've registered my hashtags, and I'm going to trademark my
Yeah, that's Ayana. That's Ayana.
She that chick now. Like, excuse me. Okay.
Yeah. She's a beast.
Yeah, she is.
No. I don't think she understands.
She don't know it yet.
Yeah. And let me say this. What's in front of you, you're not going to get what's waiting for you until you let go what's been holding you. I don't know. But you're going to have to let go. It's some people inside of you. It's a few different women inside of you that you're going to have to cut off. I ain't saying on the outside. It's a few women on the inside that's holding you back from being who you're supposed to be. You have sheep that need to hear your voice.
Yes.
And this is for everybody. Your sheep cannot hear your voice unless you open your mouth. And watch this. When you open your mouth, you have to sound like you. You can't sound like nobody else, because they need to hear your voice. Exactly. And they can't, it's noisy out here. And because it's noisy, you have to make sure that you get loud. And so these are 2 things that everybody needs to do. And you said Ayana is doing it. You got to have courage, and you got to have confidence. When your sheep hear, when they see the courage and they hear the confidence, it's you that can then come in and tell them what they need to do and save their life. All of us on this call, it don't matter if you're a coach, speaker, you could have a cleaning company. I don't care what you do for a living. At some point in your life, you're touching somebody's life.
Yes.
There are people that need what you have. 1 word, 2 words, an example, a model. But if you're not being and doing what you're supposed to be being and doing, if you stuck on who you used to be or what happened to you back in the day, you got blood on your hands and you're going to be responsible for every drop of it.
I appreciate you saying that, because I've been telling that everybody, you're doing someone a disservice by not sharing your voice and not sharing your story. Your story and what you went through is really not for you. Sometimes it's just not about you. It's about that person that thinks they're suffering in silence and that they're suffering alone, that needs to hear that you've gone through it. And the one thing Jesus has taught us, if nobody gets anything else, he's taught us resurrection. He's taught us that there's life after. There's life after financial death, relationship death. You know, in some cases, there have been life after, you know, physical death. There's been some people that are about to die of COVID, but they were like, no, I'm going to fight and do this. But they have to, you know, I heard this one story, this minister, he caught the COVID, and he was in the hospital. And he, at that point, you know, he called his family and said, get my things in order. He was ready to give up. He was like, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. And he was about to give up. While he was sleeping, somebody came in the room, it may have been a nurse or whatever, whispered in his ear, you better fight. You better fight. And it's because he heard her voice that he made the decision, I'm going to fight. Had he not heard her voice, he probably could have given up and died that night. But because that woman came in and shared her voice, she saved his life. And somebody's waiting for you to yell it or whisper it. You better fight so that they can live.
Let's go. I love it.